Aloha and happy Tuesday, everyone. I'm going to keep admitting people into the group as I kick the class off. All right, so I'm just going to leave this in this not full screen mode so I can keep adding people in. But yeah, welcome to the meeting. I just want to kick the meeting off by congratulating some of our recent licensees. We have Julie Thomas, Caleb Kirkland, Ryan Bowman, and Pedro Garcia. So just give a round of applause to them virtually. And if any of you guys are here, if you would like to give any advice on the test, on the licensing process, and just anything that you learned along the way that you didn't understand beforehand, or things you could change if you could go back.
I actually got something, Zor.
Go ahead.
So I was asking Justin about different ways to study, and he actually mentioned an app called Prep Agent. And so I wound up downloading that. I think I did pay $100 for it, but they have as many practice tests as you want. You can generate as many questions as you want. It's got national and state portions, and everything is all different. So it's not like you're seeing the same material over and over again. And on top of that, they also have a, I don't want to say podcast, but they have a playlist set up in like SoundCloud or Spotify, whatever it is. And you can literally listen to every, definition, and they go through and they explain it very well. And I definitely think that helped me out.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing that. What's the cost on that?
So it just depends. So I think the basic package, you had a week's worth of material, and it was $59. And then the one that I got, the material was good for a year. So you had access to all the material for a year, and the name of it was called Prep Agent. But I paid about $100 and I got everything.
Okay.
So I definitely recommend it.
Awesome. And again, like I talked about a few weeks ago, like $100, it might sound like a lot to you guys, but if you think about the point when you start producing, if you put that point further down the road, you're kind of missing out on money you could be making earlier on by speeding up the process, getting that test knocked out, going on that app, doing the practice exams, all that stuff. That'll help you get the license sooner, so you can get to production sooner, so that you don't have to, get a side gig when military time is up. All right, Joel Brown, you have a question?
Yes, I usually have difficulties unmuting. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, good. Two quick things. I don't know how common it is in other states. Granted, just focusing on Georgia at the time, but Georgia has a clause for testing. If you happen to be a service member, you're given 5 exam points in case you fail. They pretty much make up for the fail points to put you over passing. If you already have a disability rating, I know a lot of us are working on that, but if you do have a rating for any reason whatsoever, they do give you 5 extra points on top of that.
Awesome.
The second thing is just in quick Google keywords for that is real estate exam, your state, and veterans preference points. You might get some conflicting results that talks about the veterans preference for hiring, but you can easily filter through those on the first page. The second thing, to tag on to Mitchell's topic of Prep Agent, I actually use Quizlet, and they have some Prep Agent material for flashcards and stuff, and even the self-generated quizzes that you can use on that as well. So a bit of a free resource. Of course, I'm not assuming that it's more robust than the actual Prep Agent test that you find there itself, but something just to add to the mix beforehand, So
awesome.
That's all I have.
Thank you. Ryan Bowman or Julie, Pedro, you guys have anything to add?
Well, I actually used free resources. So I found something online. The Prep Agent has free videos, which I posted on that fitness Slack channel. But I just kept reviewing it. I was freaking out a little bit, because I thought, how am I going to remember all this information? I'm sure a lot of us go through that, because some of the questions when I was going through this practice exam, they're a little tricky because if you don't read it carefully, they do put sometimes a negative, and you have to answer, by process of selection, elimination. And then the same thing, I was like, oh gosh, with the math, do I have to memorize formulas? But what I did is I just went through, like, I have a PDF. It's more particular to California because there's a lot of regulations there, but either way, there's a lot of free resources as well. Because I thought the same thing, that I have to pay into it. I kept listening, and there's a lot of commonalities even between the states, just on what entails in a contract and just the definitions. But sometimes it gets really dry because I get easily bored by, I don't know if anyone has to take the real estate law class as one of your requisites. And so it was just like, oh my gosh, I can't really. And so I had, like, one of the prep agent videos I sent adds a little bit of humor, but there are others that are constantly, depending on what type of learner you are, if you're visual versus auditory, or whatever works for you. I like the practice exams especially because it is also a test of endurance. So you definitely want to make sure you get plenty of rest. Don't try to stay up really late, like trying to cram last minute, because you definitely want to be sharp for the exam. But those practice exams help to make sure that, and depending on when you take it in the morning, I took it in the afternoon because I know my peak energy is better. And then I make sure, like, wherever you're going, the location, factor in, like, for traffic and what have you, so you're not stressing out. And also parking, where I had to go, making sure you park in a parking garage versus a 2-meter thing because they brought it up. So the little logistics, and luckily they had a locker there too. So I didn't have to worry about, okay, brought my stuff and put in the locker, but they didn't really tell us this. So it's important, just to know, so then you can ease your worries and just focus on the exam. And then one last thing I learned, just to apply it, like, on the California, they say it takes 2 months once you submit the application. It actually took me 1 month. And the reason why is I did it manually. I actually went to Oakland and submitted it. And I think there's also a veteran preference, so it helps to expedite it. So for those of you who are like, oh gosh, I joined the program, am I going to get licensed? Well, these little things, I mean, it helped for me, so I don't know, I'm just passing it on. It should help. And also the fingerprinting, if you could try to do that early, because again, it goes to, like, the law enforcement, which is 2-3 weeks. So while you're taking the classes, if you can just get that out of the way, that way by the time you submit the exam, they already have that in hand. It just expedites the process. So yeah, those are just a few things.
Yeah, there's some really great points. You reminded me of some of the things that I learned from my process. So mine was during COVID, and we were able to take, and I think they might still offer it through PSI. You can take your exam from your house. And so I was like, all right, cool. Have my bottle of coffee, my bottle of water, all that stuff ready to go. Took a quick bathroom break before that because I didn't want to, like, get distracted from taking the test. And then I sit down, and it's like a 30-minute process of showing my entire dining room area on my laptop, and then under the table, everything. But I have a really small bladder, so by the time I'm actually starting the test, I'm already like, all right, I gotta use the restroom. And then also, they're like, oh, you can't have any drinks on your desk, you can't have water, coffee, nothing. So now I'm like thirsty, like really uncomfortable. I ended up passing the test first time, but had I known about that stuff beforehand and put that homework in ahead of time to, like Julie said, like researching, like, where am I going to park? Like, what time is this test going to start? Do I have to be there earlier to fill out some kind of form to get into the building? Like, all those things, like calling ahead, that'll make a big difference, so that when you arrive, you're just ready to crush the test. All right. Justin else said, or who else is that? I think we lost whoever was talking.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I forgot to unmute myself. So
Okay.
One quick thing, the exam was a bit of a blur to me, but I know they supplied 2 sheets at the testing center for reference. One of them was the mortgage factor sheet, and I forget what the other one was, but it does help because it's like less that you have to memorize. I guess if anybody else can comment on what the other sheet was that they supply for you.
Okay.
And this is at a PSI testing center.
All right. I think that might be Georgia specific because I wasn't allowed anything for Hawaii. I don't know if anyone else is allowed that kind of stuff, but that would be beneficial to have those review sheets. All right. Thank you guys for sharing those words of wisdom. And we also have like the general channel in Slack if you guys want to drop those nuggets of information for people. And then also within your individual state channel, if you have state specific information, if you want to share that stuff in there, that'd be fantastic. All righty. So last week, Justin asked you guys to do the weekly challenge of incorporating some kind of routine, daily morning routine or daily or evening routine. So how did that go for everyone? Anyone want to share their experience?
I'll go.
Send it.
All right. So first thing I do every morning is I go through my notebook of what I'm going to be doing today. So I try and write it just about an hour before bed, before I go to bed. So that way I wake up and while my mind is still figuring out what life is and I'm making coffee, I'm just reading my notebook real quick. I'm like, okay, I'm going to start out with 15 minutes of reading, and then I'm going to go down the list and knock out what else ever, I have going on. So I always have to remember, because I have a terrible memory, of checking in the Slack every single morning, because I just can't remember anything. So I literally have to write everything I'm going to be doing for that entire day down, including reminding myself to make lunch at certain times, or I'm going to forget and then I'll just get hungry. So it's been extremely helpful for me. I've always been doing it for many years, but I took some of Justin's things, which is educating myself in the morning. So after I read for a little while, either like a little Bible thing or just a book I have, I'll try and listen to some podcasts and some educational things to get my juices flowing in my brain. So that way my brain starts waking up a little quicker and I can start kicking the day.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing, Mitchell. Anybody else want to share? And you actually follow a very similar routine. Before bed, I have a little notepad next to my bed. Anything that I'm thinking about, I'll jot it down. So I'm not like laying there like, oh man, I have to do this task tomorrow, but I'm going to forget about it by the time I wake up. So I just jot it down, and then it helps with sleeping peacefully. And then, first thing when I wake up, get about a half cup of coffee. I'll slam that real quick, and then a glass of water. And then by the time that caffeine is kicking in, actually just after that, I'll do 10 push-ups to get the blood flowing. But by the time the caffeine is kicking in, the blood flow from the push-ups is wearing down. And then so I'm finally like caffeinated awake or just actually fully awake. And then I'm jumping into reading the Bible for 30 minutes, meditating for about 15, 20 minutes, and then jumping into the day, go to the gym, all the rest of the stuff. Anybody else want to share? And I'll drop a link in the chat box. This it was a audiobook that I listened to about meditating, and regardless of what you believe in, it just talks about like how beneficial it is, and also provides techniques on how to meditate and how it just gives you control of your day, so that you when anything happens during the day, you're able to just think to yourself, all right, nobody's gonna die, nothing crazy is gonna happen. How do we solve this problem that just popped up? All righty, I'm going to continue along in the presentation with the study tips and tools that you have in eXp. So I remember when I was just before I was getting licensed, and I was because in Hawaii, it was like a month-long process to wait for my license to actually be fully approved. And so I was starting to think like, right, what can I do next now that have my license number and everything? Like, what can I do to start preparing so that as soon as I actually I'm ready to do business, like what else can I start marketing with and all that? A lot of that time can be saved by just using the eXp Enterprise tools that are made available to you. So if you go to the eXp Enterprise, once you have access to this and once you're fully licensed, you'll have this page here. And down at the very bottom, you have logos, brandings, and signs. So if you want to get pre-approved open house signs, business cards, etc., that's right here. But also included in your join fee of $150 is 1,000 business cards. So do keep that in mind, because I know as soon as you get your license number, you're going to want to order business cards. You're going to want to pay for them out of pocket, but they're already paid for. So you can order 1,000 of them already paid for by that initial fee. Then the marketing center, there's tons of stuff in here. So social media posts, listing flyers, brochures. So instead of trying to hop on PowerPoint and try to create this stuff yourself, all this stuff is already here with all the approved logos for eXp, all that stuff. So you don't have to have a bunch of back and forth with the protocol person, making sure that your ads are good to go. All righty. And then another thing that people ask about is the mentorship program, and then also teams. And so you'll see when you eventually fill out the application, it asks for who do you want to be your mentor, and also if you're joining a team. You can leave both of those blank, because once you're officially joined eXp, you'll have access to Workplace. And some of you might have seen this if you were part of another company at some point. But it's basically Facebook for businesses. So I'm sure like Coca-Cola has their own version of this, of Workplace, where all the Coca-Cola employees can talk to each other. So this is eXp's version. So on here, it's nothing but eXp agents from across the country, across the world, really. And so my recommendation for when you're looking for a mentor or for a team to join is you go on to Workplace, you find your state group, and then in here you can search, you can look at the members really. And usually in their title, it'll say like certified mentor or what team they're a part of. But you can also search in the search bar. Mentor. And so look, you see previous posts from people about the mentorship program. People will pop up if they have mentor in their name. And then you can kind of look at the profile, see if it's the type of person that you think you'll jive with. Look at their business page, see if they're a top producer, the type of person that you want to emulate and you want to learn from. And then after that, you can do the mentorship program. You can request that mentor, or you can reach out to them specifically and ask them to be your mentor. And then the final tool that I want to talk about was KV Core. So this is the client retention manager that is provided to you through your monthly fee. And so on here it has tons of tools for setting up campaigns. For once you upload all your contacts, you can set up a campaign to where it'll send a text message on day one. It'll send them an email day two, like however you want to set it up, and you can change the times for that, change the contents of that message. And there's also a bunch of pre-made not scripts, but campaigns that are in here. And so you just drop someone's name, you assign them to whatever campaign you want to give them, and then they're automatically going to be receiving all those messages. And then it sends you a notification. So you're going to link up your phone to the program, and it'll send you a text notification. Hey, this person just responded to this email. And then that's your cue to call them. Ideally call them, because that's usually the best way to, lead it to an appointment. But yeah, very powerful tool. It's also where you'll set up your website. So right here at the Web IDX button, Website Manager, it pulls up all the details for putting your name, your email address. If you want to add on, some people do blogs, some people do links to like a mortgage calculator, stuff like that. But yeah, this is where you manage your website. And then on here, you can also set up some marketing as well. All this stuff is, some of these things are extra fee. So like the drop voicemail, I believe it's like $75 a month or something, but just got to do the math and decide if that's something that'll be beneficial to you. If doing that instead of leaving 100 voicemails on people that don't answer your phone, if that's worth more, if there's more benefit in doing that $75 a month, which is really like what, $2 a day, instead of wasting an hour leaving voicemails over and over again, same voicemail, because you can pre-record that voicemail and then drop it in there. All right, and that's just about all I've got on the tools. And then this last thing that I recently learned about was kind of going along with the daily routine thing. My stepdad, he's a loan officer in Arizona, and he started doing this win by noon thing. So it's a planner, and it's like very specific to the profession. So like there's a loan officer version, and there's a real estate agent version, and there's sections on each page. There's sections on, did I make my calls? Did I follow up on these escrows? Like all those things that we care about specifically for real estate, it's all there. So you don't have to scribble in those items. Me personally, right now, I use this Fox notebook. I don't know if you can see it. And so I'll go through, and it has each day is one of these columns, and I'll go through and like color coordinate the time that I'm using. But I end up, so like one of the sections that says like personal to-do list, I'll make that section into goal for calling for the week, and basically like relabeling a lot of stuff. So if had I known about this win by noon planner ahead of time, I probably would have bought this instead. But this is actually a Christmas gift, so I'm making it work for now. And then also, I just want to share the link for the PSI testing for people that might have forgotten about it. So you can see on my page right now, it says a bunch of different state names, but if you click on them, it's actually really just takes you to the national portion. And I do recommend this 500 item. It's, I believe, $50. It's $50 for a 90-day subscription. And some people think like, oh, I'm going to wait until I finish my pre-licensing to do actual practice exams. And then you're 2 weeks out from taking your actual exam if you're trying to do it at a quick rate. But if you sign up for it, basically like as soon as you start your pre-licensing, by the time you go to take your actual test, if you incorporate the practice test into your schedule, you don't even have to take another week or two to focus specifically on the test. You'll just be ready to go. And yeah, and then people were mentioning the prep agent. I'm just gonna drop this link in the chat. If Caleb, if you have the link for that app, if you want to drop it in the chat as well, for the prep agent app, that'd be fantastic. All righty. That's pretty much all I've got for you guys for today. Just a quick little study tips and intro to tools that you'll have once you're with eXp, so you're not wasting time before you're licensed trying to make all these fancy PowerPoints and marketing materials. It's already basically pre-made for you. And then also another plug for this program right here, Canva, a very powerful tool for making marketing materials, social media, etc. All right. Anyone have questions on anything? I
have a question.
Good.
We hear a lot about fees. What kind of fees are out there whenever you're getting into a team or with a group within eXp?
So on average, going from not licensed, not pre-licensing anything, to fully licensed and fully registered with your board of realtors, et cetera, it's going to be about $3,000 for the full process. So on average, about $500 for your pre-licensing. Mine was $450. Some people, they managed to get it for cheaper somehow in other states. So there's that $500 for that. And then when you actually go to drop off your application, so for here in Hawaii, I believe it was about $400. So there you're already almost at $1,000 there. And then your MLS dues are going to be about $1,000. And then the initial join fee for eXp is $145, $150. And then the monthly fee is $85. And then so you add that all up and you're looking at about $3,000 to go from nothing to doing business. It sounds like a lot again, but if you close that first commission, that commission will cover that, depending on the state you're in, but most cases that commission will more than cover those fees, and then move right on to closing more transactions, helping more people get into homes and sell their homes and and you'll be in a good place financially.
Yeah, there's also a small super fee. I think it's like every month. I think it's like a $15 super fee. Supra, if y'all don't know what Supra is, it's like the lockbox. If you have to use, so do they have that in Hawaii, Zora? I think they do.
We use Sentry Lock. Do you guys use that?
No. Cool.
There's
Sentry Lock in California as well.
Okay.
Yes.
Might be different for everyone, but
Grab one real quick. So Sentry Lock is these fancy Bluetooth lock boxes, and there's a Sentry Lock app. And so the app just like put in your PIN or you scans your face, and then it automatically opens the lock. So that when it's on the door of the house, you can have access to see that place, and you don't have to have one of those rusty old combination locks or anything like that. But those cost $150 a piece for those locks. And then but you can also rent them. So different flavors from different states, I guess. Any other questions?
Outside of the average things that you had listed to go from, not being a real estate agent to actually doing business, is there anything else that you found helpful outside of that that you're using to invest in yourself?
I would say just the social media marketing, like it doesn't cost anything. It's just a matter of getting out there and posting stuff. It's your time, which I would say time is more valuable than money. And so if you put the time into creating rather than just consuming content, that'll pay off big time. Yeah, pretty much every time I post anything about doing real estate activities on Facebook or Instagram, whatever, every time I've gotten somebody to reach out to me. But again, it's that numbers game, the 80-20 thing. And yes, I've gotten a referral from like fellow college classmates and stuff like that almost every time I've done that. But those referrals aren't always the best. So it's a matter of being consistent with doing those postings and marketing on social media, but not being too like in your face, like this is all I ever do is sell real estate. You want to mix it up a little bit, do some insights on like what you're doing on your free time and stuff too. But that's a big, powerful tool. Any other questions?
I have another one, I guess. This is as far as getting with teams. I finally reached out to the guy, Dylan Onaka. I spoke with them yesterday, but I want to make sure I'm not stepping on anybody's toes or going around anyone. But I thought I'd see if it was okay to get with this team. And I called him to ask him the same thing, like towards the end of the internship. He said he was more than glad to put me on with him and his team. Is that okay to do? Or, I know we have like regulations with this Gilbert internship.
So you're saying you're gonna join his team after you leave the program?
A little bit before.
Okay.
This Thursday, I have a meeting with them. So
Okay.
We're gonna go grab lunch and we'll talk about things there. But
Yeah, that's perfectly fine.
Okay.
Yeah, I strongly recommend joining a team. Justin's on a team. I'm on a team. Being on a team is very beneficial because instead of just having just one, and if you get a rock star mentor, that's cool. But if you're on a team, you'll have multiple people working with you and teaching you their spin on how to be successful. And so, yeah, it's definitely good to join a team.
yeah, just make sure you're not getting paid. I mean, I joined a team within a month of being in the Skillbridge program, and I did the program for 6 months. So you can do it in the Skillbridge program. Just make sure you're not getting paid. When I interviewed with the team, I told them like I'll go to the closing table and not accept any money, because I wanted the lessons I would learn. But talk to them and see if they would be willing to put all the transactions under their name, and see if they can hold on to the funds. And then, just make sure you keep track of how much you'll be making, and see if you can get that to you after the program's over. Just make sure you're safe, make sure you're not making any money. Don't, even if it's like a small amount, you don't want to end up getting in trouble. or anything. So that's just the biggest thing. But you can definitely join a team. I did it. I think Caleb, he's in here. He's actually possibly joining my team too. So he's doing it. He's just got to make sure he's not getting paid either. And, we're writing up our contracts and everything to make sure that we're showing everything legally that, we're not getting any compensation at all. So that's just the biggest thing.
These meetings are meant to be just instead of doing once a month for an hour, where it's just kind of like because it's so infrequent, you kind of feel in between time like you're just out on your own, not really just kind of clicking through classes and stuff. The intent was to do these meetings on a weekly basis so that you can bring any questions you have that you might think of over the course of the last 6 days, and you can ask them in an open forum because everyone else is probably thinking the same thing. So thank you everyone for coming today. And I don't know if Justin thought of another challenge for this week.
I haven't. What's the name?
I'll give you guys a challenge.
I guess I can do one. Oh, you got it?
Yeah. So
Good two challenges. Good two.
I don't know if you guys have heard of the benefits of fasting. But I challenge you to, whether it's a meal or a day or a couple days, I challenge you to try out fasting and see and take and like observe yourself, like when you're during that fasting period, are you actually hungry, or are you just thinking you're hungry because you're purposely subjecting yourself to not eat? And then also take note of, am I thinking clearer, or am I like more lackadaisical? And obviously you want to stay hydrated. That's the key. Drinking plenty of water, because when you're fasting, your body starts to get rid of toxins that might be stored in your insides. Yeah, do a fast, whether that's one meal or a day. Do it. Take notes on how it turns out in the process, and come back next week ready to share.
Yeah. Another one. I know. What was the last one I did? I think it was the video challenge, and then there was another one. Anybody do the morning routine? Anybody stick to one last week?
Yeah, some of the guys were talking about it earlier.
Okay, cool. I didn't.
Bolton had a solid one.
Cool. So I guess another one is reach out to at least 10 people in your sphere, whether that's family, friends, whoever that in your sphere. Just let them know you're in real estate. Again, I said it last time. If anybody did a video, I promise you one person was going to get some type of business. And I think we had a handful of people did it, and people did. So I guarantee you, if some of y'all just tell someone you're in real estate, 10 people in your sphere, promise you'll get business that second, whether it's months from now, years from now, weeks from then. So just reach out to your sphere, at least 10 people, let them know you're in real estate, or you're going to be in real estate.
Joycelyn, you have a question? Joycelyn? All right, guys. We'll have a wonderful week. Keep crushing it.